Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for another segment of Charlie Loves Science. Today we are going to be talking about static electricity. The other day I was just chatting with my wife and she was complaining about how often she was getting shocked when she was, working at the hospital trying to just go in and out of the doors. And I told her, well, it all has to do with the time of year, specifically the amount of moisture in the air. But before we dive straight into the reason, we need to break it down at an elemental level. And to do that, we got to go all the way down to basically the atomic level. So we start out with an atom. There it is on your screen. Now, atoms are comprised of not just a proton and a neutron, or protons and neutrons, but also electrons that flow around that central core of the atom and what is known as an electron cloud. Now, those electrons are able to peel off of their atoms and we can get loose electrons. This is how charges start to form. So if you're on a carpet and you shuffle your feet on the carpet, you can build up a charge. What is truly happening is your body's electrical charges that normally we're at a neutral state, but some of those electrons get rubbed off into the carpet. Here you can see those electrons being deposited in the carpet floor, and this kind of allows your body to become more positively charged. More electrons would then lead us to a negative charge, but we are losing electrons, so that gives us more of a positive charge. Now, normally door handles or anything metal that we usually touch that creates kind of that electric shock, or even another person, also neutrally charged, but there is that charge difference because we have lost some of those electrons down through our body, down through our feet, and into the carpet. Now, us and the carpet are still neutrally charged, but those electrons have been displaced. So when we touch something, again, that is not also touching the carpet, say like a metal door handle, that's when we can get a little bit of a discharge, or the electrons from the doorknob then jump to our fingers, our hands, and we get that kind of shock. We get that, oh, hello, that surprise. So here is a zoomed in look at exactly what happens when your hand gets close enough to those electrons. They make the jump towards your hand because it's trying to get everything back to equilibrium. It's trying not to have that difference in electric charges. So we feel that jump as a shock, and if it's strong enough, we can actually see that shock happen. Now, normally, each shock consists of around 1,000 to 10,000 volts of electricity. The reason why it's not dangerous is because the current is incredibly small, measured on a micro or even a milliamp scale. So it is a lot of voltage, but again, doesn't really flow in a strong enough current to cause us any sort of damage. Now here, let's zoom it in again. Let's add humidity to the mix, aka water vapor. That's something we have an abundance of in the summer months that we lose out on in the winter months because cold air is more dense. The more dense the air is, the less water it can hold. When we heat up in the summer months, the density of the air goes way down and the water just kind of fills right on in, and it leads us to dew points in the 60s and the 70s. Well, a couple days ago, on Monday, we had negative dew points. Tuesday, we had dew points in the single digits. So if you were feeling that electric shock a little bit more frequently on Monday and Tuesday, a big reason why was the fact that we didn't have enough moisture in the air. But here's what that moisture actually does. It kind of creates a diversion for those electrons off of the negatively charged object in that charge difference. Now, what they will also do is, of course, as our hands are kind of floating around in the air, when it's super humid outside or even humid inside, we get kind of a coating of that water along our skin. That allows that positive charge to slowly dissipate as we spend more time in that humid air. So that is basically a breakdown of why we see more static electricity during the winter months and why we see fewer static shocks during the summer months. So hopefully, again, that can put your mind at ease. You're not going crazy thinking that you're getting shocked more frequently in the winter months. You are absolutely correct in observing that. And if you're tired of it, one thing you can do is increase the humidity in your home or place of work, wherever you feel the most electric shocks. A humidifier will put moisture back into the air, and that will really help reduce the amount of electric static shocks that you receive on a daily basis. Well, that's all we have time for today's episode of Charlie Loves Science. We'll be back coming up next Wednesday with more science discoveries that can help you in your everyday life. Until then, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you back here for more news and weather coming up at the top of the hour.